Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to This Stuff. This is the stuff that we do occasionally. Last week on the podcast, we watched Contact, a movie about contact between humans and aliens. And I thought it would be fun to think about movies about aliens that we find interesting, not necessarily like our favorite movies in that area, but ones that, like we think is like are worth talking about, particularly maybe for the design of the aliens. Are you a fan of movies about this kind of thing?
Not really, because most of the movies about aliens are also regarding space travel.
Yeah.
And I got traumatized
Oh no.
when I was younger, like a child to a young teenager. I watched Apollo 13, yes, and there is a astronaut that pukes into his head bowl.
Yeah.
And got too scared, and space has been banned from exploration.
I actually don't know what it is, but I've never really been into sci-fi with aliens. I think sci-fi is a cool version of fantasy. But the alien, I think it might actually be just that, like in a lot of movies, the aliens are just a generic antagonist, like just a threat, and it might as well be like just a bunch of bad humans. Like it doesn't. So then it's like it just feels pointless for it to be aliens. So here's a movie about aliens. This could be the sequel to Contact because it's called Arrival.
Oh,
and it is about aliens arriving to Earth and trying to communicate. So it's actually about linguistics. And the main character is played by Amy Adams. She's a linguist, and she is called in to try and understand what they're saying, basically. And there's a whole thing about how these alien creatures communicate actually relates to the way they see the world. And then there's like I don't want to say too much because it's a very good movie.
yeah, I would like to watch it now.
But there's like a time travel element to it because the way you look at time, the way they talk about, relates to the way they experience time. So
I want to watch it.
it's quite interesting.
But this is when I thought about movies with aliens, I of course thought of the namesake movie with aliens that is Alien. And this is like a cool concept because also that is not just random people arriving, but is this parasite. And just I think it's just a cool concept on how to introduce aliens in a different way. But actually, the first movie with aliens that got me very excited was E.T.
E.T.,
Not
the
for the alien
extraterrestrial.
itself, because I didn't like the puppet.
Yeah.
But there was this cool thing that happened. I was so into it because when they discovered that there is an alien in this girl's house, the police arrives and everybody arrives and they make these safety.
They create a parameter.
Yes, and I was like...
A perimeter, sorry.
Oh my gosh, how can I get a perimeter on myself so everything is sterilized inside and nobody gets in contact with me? So
you like the clinical approach to alien life more so than alien life.
I also like all the storylines in which the government comes and tries to shut everybody down so they don't talk to the people. It's like also in the Netflix series, there is this element.
What Netflix series?
The one with Dungeons and Dragons. They're kids, and there is this
weird
Stranger
girl. Things?
Yes, Stranger Things. It also has this vibe of if you know too much, you get into these government facilities, and everything's gonna be silenced.
Contact is actually interesting, because it's a very stereotypical way. The government comes in and shuts everybody up. In Contact, it's interesting because they can't contain this information.
Yeah.
And so we see kind of what everybody is so afraid of. And you know what? The movie makes a good point for keeping it quiet.
Yes, let's keep Area 51 on its own.
Yeah. I haven't seen E.T., but definitely will watch it eventually.
I wouldn't watch it again.
No?
No.
I'm interested because I'm interested in Spielberg. This was one of his early big movies, and it's famous for him working with kids. And so, that's enough for me to just be interested in the movie.
The puppet is very creepy.
All right. We're moving on to a movie that I like. Like, it's a movie that is about aliens, and aliens play an important role, and it's not just your basic design alien humanoid. That's the one thing. Like, I don't like movies where aliens are anthropomorphic, where it's like they basically look like humans. This movie it's called Edge of Tomorrow. We've seen it. It's Groundhog Day but sci-fi. It's got Tom Cruise because I noticed, by the way, in my collection, I feel like the most common actor in it is Tom. There's like 7 Tom Cruise movies.
Well,
it's crazy. Like
these were the days.
It's like 6 or 7% of the collection. But yes, so Groundhog Day. There's a day that just kind of keeps repeating. It's a war against an alien race. The aliens, we see them every now and then, and I really appreciate that they're just like almost conceptually undescribable. Like, they're just kind of tentacly, but also fuzzy and really fast, and you don't really see them well, except for the thing that's called an alpha later, which just looks like a big glowing dog. But the kind of the main thing design I really appreciate. And of course, this movie I particularly like because it's like the kind of movie I like. It's like an action movie with Emily Blunt as well, who's wonderful. And so I recommend it.
I remember the movie about aliens. I forgot.
That's exciting.
So now you get 2 movies because it's a joke. But I really like Back to the Future and how when Martin goes in the 50s and...
Do you keep calling him Martin?
Marty.
Yeah.
Goes back into the 50s, and George is very into sci-fi, and they have all this gear from the 80s, like the radiation suit and everything, and he can impersonate an alien with his new technology.
Okay.
And George kind of just believes it because it's always like we think of aliens that they have this weird technology, and then at some point we make something that kind of resemble what the generation before thought it would be, like alien sci-fi like. So that's cool.
Okay.
But about aliens...
But give me a serious movie.
Avatar.
Avatar?
Yeah, I think it looks cool. There's a cat eating croccantini.
Well, you're going to hear the cat eating crunchy food in the background. Sorry.
Avatar, I think it looks cool. I really like the bluish, cold colors going around, and I like the pantheism of it.
Okay. I think Avatar is kind of a boring movie, but I did always feel like, James Cameron really likes underwater, like deep sea diving and things like that. And so he designed this alien world, and it's basically an underwater world. And I thought that was neat.
Yeah, it's an underwater world, but above water.
But also they have blue cat humans with boobs. And that's like a child design.
Yeah, I think I like more the world, the alien world, than the aliens themselves. Okay. But I do like the idea of riding a horse and connecting with the horse. Well, when you ride a horse, you connect with the horse, but just being able to connect more in a more unified way, it seems very appealing.
Okay. Finally, the movie that I have on my list here is A Quiet Place. A Quiet Place is a beautifully shot movie. If you haven't heard, everybody has heard of this probably. But
yes, but I didn't know it was about aliens.
A Quiet Place has a very simple gimmick. It's a horror movie, and I don't usually like horror movies, but this one was okay.
With Emily Blunt as well.
With Emily Blunt as well, and John Krasinski, who's her husband, both in and outside of the movie. It's about a post-apocalypse where some kind of alien has landed on Earth that can really, it's kind of like a bat, but without making your own sound. So when there is sounds, it can see the world, basically.
Okay.
So if you make any sound, it knows exactly where you are and what you're doing and all that, and so it comes for you. So you have to be as quiet as possible, or you have to be near something really loud, like a waterfall that, kind of masks you. So that's just like a good concept to create tension. And also, we do see the alien eventually. There's also a sequel where I think we see it even more. The aliens are designed also in very like non-human like. They do have, I think, 4 legs, but their whole body is like an ear kind of. It's got these orifices where like sound can, like it's got kind of like it's just like an interesting design, and it's a scary design.
Yeah.
And that's great for this kind of movie.
But it's also like if they step like the vibration of things, or only on sound.
So they put sand on the places where they want, like on the roads basically where they want to go, so that they're always barefoot, which is, I don't know if that makes that big a difference, but like some of it is a little bit like if you look at the kind of the logic of it, like sometimes it feels like certain things. They have a Monopoly game, but they play it with little felt pieces, so that when they play, like they move the things around, it doesn't make any sounds. But then, like they carry a bag of corn around or whatever. It's like, do you think that makes less of a sound than a Monopoly piece on cardboard? This cat is making too much sound. He will be eaten immediately.
No!
Are you done? Yeah, so that's A Quiet Place. I recommend it. It's now under the wings of Michael Bay, so they're gonna make hundreds of sequels, and you're gonna be eaten by the aliens. Okay.
That's gonna be the end of the podcast. It's just meow. You're gonna be eaten by the aliens.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it too scary for me to watch?
Well, it is like really tense because you always have the sense of a looming threat. It's not as much jump scares, which is the part that I don't like, where it's just like you're just being scared, like.
What I don't like about horror movies is if there are disgusting things, or the ones with like setting in psychiatry facilities, this kind of mind things.
What about Emily Blunt is pregnant?
Does she puke?
I don't think so, but she does give birth.
So she has to give birth very quietly.
Yes, and that's a scary as hell thing.
Oh my gosh, that just for that I want to watch it now.
I don't want to. Okay, there's like they have a plan for the birth. Let's put it that way. I don't want to say what it is, but they do have a plan.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, you got a last movie in your list?
Yeah, I wanted to mention Star Wars because it's a movie in which there are a lot of weird creatures.
Yeah.
And of course there is a fault of it because all the main characters are human-like.
Right.
Even though they come from other
planets. But to
planets.
us, they might even be aliens still.
Yes, they are still aliens, but they look like people.
Yeah.
But I also have to give it to them that in the 70s, like having the main character being basically a puppet or a man with a very, very big costume would probably not allow them to emote a lot with the faces and stuff. So
well, I agree, although a lot of people would disagree because of Yoda.
But it doesn't have the same screen time, Probably if you give more screen time to Yoda, you would start thinking that, it could be a bit better.
Well, I'm glad you think so. I would definitely think so.
You kind of beat like Harrison Ford being Han Solo, making his faces. It's so cool. But I really like that all the other people are just random and nobody seems to care.
You're thinking of like the cantina scene. It's like full of weirdos.
Yeah, but also like in the army and everything, like it doesn't seem to be like racism in Star Wars at all.
Okay.
Even though all the Empire people are humans.
I mean, there's the Sand People, but that's later.
Yeah.
I guess the Sand People arrive in the first movie, but it's less of a like, these are the weirdos over there. Yeah. Okay.
So I think it's good for just portrayal of everybody in harmony. And there is the guy saying it's a trap. That is just a gem.
And he's a shrimp.
I think it's a squid.
Well, still.
Because shrimps have exoskeletons.
But they come from like a planet called Mon Calamari, right? No, wait, they come. The ship is called Mon Calamari.
Yeah, so it's a squid. Because calamari is way more similar to a squid
I don't know.
than a shrimp.
I don't know.
I'm the biologist here.
He's a fish guy.
No, it's not even a fish. A fish is a vertebrate.
All right. We'll stop it here. We'll move on. See you next week for You, Me, and Dupree.
Bye.